Thank you, everyone, for joining our third and final session of the value of incorporating lived and living experience into SUD clinical design. As I kind of mentioned last week, I am probably the most excited for this session. We're going to have a panel discussion with members of lived experience advisory boards and community advisory boards. I'm pretty excited, to be honest. I would like to begin by acknowledging that as we gather today, we are on the ancestral homelands of the indigenous peoples who have lived on these lands since time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors. Then just a small recap. So our incorporating lived and living experience into SUD clinical design three-part series. The first part was expertise advisory board facilitators, and we talked about from creation to clinic opening. The second part was different community advisory boards and different settings. And then again, this one is we're going to be talking to lived experience advisory board and community advisory board members and asking their perspectives on what it's meant to them, positive or negative, to be part of a community advisory board. I'm going to stop sharing now. All right. We are missing a couple people, and so if they end up joining late, because we all know Zoom issues come up, we're going to try to just gently fold them into the mix. So I would like to begin by inviting any panelists, it's up to you guys, to do an introduction of yourselves and maybe what panel you guys are a part of, or advisory board, sorry, this is the panel, advisory board that you're a part of, and anything else you would like to share.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Rob Pitcher, and I work with the READU team, Research with Expert Advisors on Drug Use. I'm out of the University of Washington, as well as I facilitate on our CLEARS um, project. I'd love to do this acronym. Let's see if I can do it. Community Aligning. Um, I can't remember the full acronym. It's a monster.
Community law enforcement
There
aligning
it
in
is.
response to substance use. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know why I can never remember that acronym. And yeah, and you said just introduce ourselves and who we're working with. So that's that. Thank you.
You're up.
I'm Adonica, she, her pronouns. I also work as a peer researcher through the UW with READU, and which Rob has told us is the research expert advisors on drug use. And like Rob, I'm involved with CLEARS and Voice, and I do some work with ORCID. Um, and I'm just excited to be a part of this growing community that is affected by people who use drugs, and personally and professionally. So just hoping to give some perspective.
Hi, everybody. My name is Majorie Drieu. I use she, her pronouns. And May 7th, so in just under a month, I'll be celebrating 7 years off substances. So I'm really, really incredibly honored to be with you all in this space today. My professional experience, I'm a program manager at Peer Washington, and I oversee peer specialists that are placed within different courts throughout South King County. And then I'm also a proud graduate of King County Drug Diversion Court. I graduated in October of 2020. And then just a little bit about me. How I found my way into a drug diversion court was, in May 6th, 2019, I got arrested for the last time. And I got taken to King County Correctional Facility. I learned that I was pregnant at the jail. And then shortly after, I was put on methadone, and I'd had a bunch of experience with other medications for opiate use disorder in the past, and this time it was just different. I think there were a lot of factors that played into that, but it was different. And then I went through King County Drug Court, and here I am today. And then I sit on the SAIA for MLUD. And I don't know what the acronym is, so maybe Mandy can unmute again and share that with you all. But I am really, really, thank you, LeiLani, for inviting me here today.
Yes, of course. Again, thank you all so much just for agreeing to share your expertise and your time with us. It means a lot to me, and thank you. So I've emailed you all the questions. We kind of all went over them together. So I'm just going to start at the top. Please, answer, take as much time as you want. Please don't, say what you want to say, basically. Has being a part of a community advisory board or a lived expertise advisory board changed you in any way?
I'll
Ladies,
go.
yeah, you go.
Um, so I just want to say, like I said, um, for me, in my recovery, my personal recovery, I have only been clean for about a year and a half. But in that short time, I have really, really witnessed like this growing community of drug users, whether they're still in lived experience or they have past lived experience. I am really witnessing a community that is starting to stand up and advocate for themselves and be a part of um, what they see as a better future. And it's really empowered me in my recovery, um, in my personal life. And also, it has um, allowed me to start to work in my professional life too. So,
Yeah, I think for me, it definitely has changed me. It's changed how I see my voice, right? How I see my experience. Um, I think for a long time, my story was something that I carried with a lot of shame, and now it's something that holds value. Not just personally, but systematically, right? I've gone from surviving systems to helping improve them, and that's been incredibly empowering. And I think on a lot of levels, it's deepened my sense of responsibility, not just to share my story and to recover out loud, but to represent others whose voices aren't in the room.
I guess that'd be my turn. I'd have to say that changed me. I don't know so much as it's changed me as it's reminded me of who I am. Really, previously, I mean, for the last 25 years, I've held a great deal of shame about my where I was in life and how I was doing and what I had accomplished. And having moved into this position with READU and our other projects, um, I've come to I've come to value my voice much more, as well as I've begun to use it far better. Um, and yeah, just the fact that I have a job now really is so empowering for me as a person. Again, um, I feel proud to be able to represent my sub community, as I always refer to it as. I don't have any sobriety under my belt. I'm still in living experience, but um, I've found that that has not been a problem in regards to representing myself professionally or um, do well in the position I'm in. And I am very happy to be able to speak for those that are not able to do so. So yeah, I would say that it's just reminding me who I am again.
You guys, I love that so much. Um, Eric had Zoom issues, as I suspected. Eric, would you can introduce yourself if you want. Or the first question was, has being part of a lived experience advisory board or community advisory board changed you in any way? Also, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
It's all good. Hi, I'm Eric Zimmerman. I have been enjoying being on these leaps because it really helps you kind of regain like your self value and self worth and like feel like what you're doing is like actually meaningful and like you're getting something out of it, sort of like versus like it kind of just being like a hollow just meaningless actions and that you're just wasting time or something like in because I don't really have much for like training and I mean like I've worked jobs but like I don't really have like any like career training and stuff like that. Like the only thing I really know is about being like on drugs, but like being on drugs and not wanting to be on them at the same time and like wanting to try to like get out like out of it and like find some kind of outlet or way off of it. But um so for me it's been really great to just be able to be part of something that's helping others or that's going to be helping others or be doing something that's going to be helping people like better their lives.
Thank you. We're gonna have questions at the end. I'm sorry, only because I don't want to like throw anything off. We worked on these questions and it'll throw me off. I get very easily distracted, as some of you know. Um, to everyone in no particular order, what were your first thoughts when you first started on a community advisory board? And second part of it, what has it meant to you to be part of it? You guys all kind of answered that already, but what were your first thoughts when you first joined?
Imposter syndrome. That is about the first and only thing I can say that, yeah, I felt, and I still quite often have that sense. I feel that I'm pretending to be something I'm that I'm not at times. But one of the great things about our team, at least I know, is that they are very supportive of us, and everybody on our team is supportive and always make you feel really good about what you're doing and make sure to reinforce the positives about what you're bringing to the table and how much value there is there. And yeah, no, it's just yeah. But beyond that, what I first thought was this can't be real. There's no chance this could be real. Nobody really wants to hear my voice. No one's going to listen to me. No one's going to take me seriously. No one's gonna change anything for me in what I'm saying. But I've come to find that that's so not true. It's yeah, it's such a great experience. Yeah,
I think that I kind of just echo what Rob is saying, and I think a lot of us feel this way is that kind of just waiting for the other foot to drop. It feels very great to be a part of um these communities, but there is times where I stop and feel like, okay, well, the is that the entirety of what I have to give now? Because it's got to end sometime, right? Like this isn't something that I can keep giving. Um, but yeah, sometimes I'm waiting for the other foot to drop, or I'm very feeling like it's just a dream.
completely.
Yeah, I think you guys said it really well. At first I wasn't sure how my voice would matter. I think a lot of people with lived experience go through that, feeling like professionals or clinicians are the real experts. But I mean, yeah, imposter syndrome is very real. But what I've learned, I think, throughout my time is that lived experience is an important part of the picture, right? It brings context, it brings nuance, it brings reality that the data alone can't capture. It brings the stories, the humanity of it. For me, it's meant having a seat at the table and being able to say, like, this is what this actually feels like, or this is where people fall through the cracks. We're just highlighting the gaps and knowing that that perspective can influence change.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like, I feel like you're there's or at least in my head, like there's a stigma for people who've been users that like it's assumed that like you just like don't or just like your input or like what you have to say like is not like relevant or like not gonna be like heard and just like you just don't know anything because like you're not part of like society. Like you're just there kind of floating by like just like feeding off of like what other people are giving you or like what you can steal or like whatever and like I just feel like at least in my head it like at times it feels like you just don't have like a voice like he was saying like you like regain like your voice but like it just I feel like it's just a weird like stigma when it comes to what people have done or like their past and stuff. Like if you've been a homeless drug addict, like I mean, who's gonna listen to anything that you have to say? Like I mean, like you just don't like it's just like and I still kind of like have to like, to deal with that like at times where like I'm just like who's gonna believe like whatever I have to like bring to the table or like whatever I'm gonna say about things. But I mean, it's like not like that. Mm, like so like I even still deal with the a stigma of like what addicts are gonna have to say like sometimes just like it doesn't always feel like people are actually gonna listen to you.
Thank you all. Um, I'm gonna like kind of imposter syndrome is such a real feeling, and hard to get kind of away from. And then like, waiting for that shoe to drop, like, because it's like, is this even real? Kind of, you know? Yeah. So I understand very, very much. Um, where I'm at, I still feel like that. Yeah. I'm gonna skip one question and ask another question. Do you feel like your involvement has made an impact? Do you feel like your voice has had a real impact and made change in these clinical programs that you advise on?
For me, at least I do. I think both in small ways and in larger systemic ways. Sometimes the impact can look like shifting language, moving from like non-compliant to understanding the deeper barriers and the root cause. And then sometimes it can be influencing how programs are structured so that they're more accessible and trauma informed. Um, and then sometimes the impact is just simply making sure that decisions are grounded in real human experience, right? Our voice does matter. We may not always see the full outcome, but one thing I know for sure is that when lived experience is included, systems become a whole lot more compassionate, a whole lot more effective, and just more responsive on a greater level. Being part of that shift feels incredibly meaningful for me.
I'll say that because I have only been doing this work for a shorter time. Um, this is my first year doing it, and I feel that in my heart, I know that my voice does make a difference. My work does make a difference. But I will say that the people that I work with, I think very highly of, and I trust them. And if they tell me that my voice makes a difference, then I believe them. And for me, it means everything because it's helping me to grow. Um, And I also believe that, we're sometimes we begin as a little part of a big picture, and I have faith that my voice will grow with me, and who I am is going to grow as well. And so I lean on the community of peers and non-peers, but I just lean on the community of us that are doing this work.
Um, I would say I've been with my team for 6 years and almost 6 years, which I can't believe for the life of me. It's an amazing length of time. Um, and the courage it takes to speak up, that's something that you have to develop over time, and recognizing that that what you do bring to the table is very valuable. I think that we impact numbers of things with READU. I mean, the READU works on numbers of projects, ORCID, for instance, and then Adonica and I both work on our Clears project, as well as we we've done things like evaluations, the OIG, for the Office of the Attorney General. But I think really the area that I think that really we bring the most impact to is making people aware that we aren't all that different from anybody else, as well as highlighting and emphasizing too. Like in our ORCA study, we do interviews, and I think that a lot of times what we bring to the table is an awareness, and we provide a comfort at times to other people of living experience and circumstances that they have, that they need to have a compassionate person or an empathetic person in order for them to feel heard and to feel acknowledged and to feel valued. And yeah, I think that that's probably one of the things that I think is strikingly most important about the work we do, as well as I know READU, we've created implementation of the leave behind naloxone and Suboxone, and well, leave behind naloxone and Suboxone and fentanyl test strips. I mean, there's numbers of things that we do in terms of shifting the systems as well. But I think that the most important thing is that we bring that understanding that people that don't have lived experience, that they appreciate and need in order to help people appropriately. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd have to say that I know at the ORCA meetings that I had said things that helped like reinforce like either points that people were trying to bring up or like different viewpoints on different things that we were trying to establish when it came to like some of the policies and stuff like that. So I feel like I have brought a I don't want to say like unique a like unique perspective per se, but like I definitely reinforced like other people's uh like points they were trying to make or like stuff like that. So because I mean like it was I wouldn't say it's like unique because we had the same experience or a similar experience, and so I could just reinforce it. But, I mean, I've definitely brought or helped brought like to the table different viewpoints on things and different um yeah just like different experiences.
Can I just say, Eric, I think it is absolutely that we bring unique perspectives, right? In our own, like, yes, we have this shared maybe like piece of it, but there's so much more that like we interpret it in such different ways that I just think we do bring a unique perspective. Also, I think it's important to consider that like um I don't know, just for myself, when I was working as a peer specialist for drug court when I first started with peer, it looked a lot different than in my role today as a supervisor. And being able to have like perspective from each level, I think is just so important, right? Because I even feel how disconnected I could be, or sometimes I see like when we have graduations or things, and I don't know all the participants because I'm not boots on the ground anymore, or I'm not like right then and there. Um, and having that transparency and that open communication with my team, and then my ability, right, to then take that up and inform. And so I think just considering like who's sitting at the table and having all of those unique perspectives.
All right, I just wanted to pop in just right here just to say, Marjorie, you're so well spoken and everything, and I'm very excited to see you in the role that you're in. It gives me a great deal of I don't know, it gives me a great deal of hope and you know, makes me feel like yeah, I could take this even farther. I really am glad to have you on this panel with us very much.
Oh my gosh, you guys are all just the best.
You as
This
well,
is
Barb.
like the best conversation I feel like I've ever been a part of. No, exactly kind of building on what Marjorie said, like everybody's recovery definition of recovery is so different, and two people may have done similar but had totally different experiences and viewpoints, and like what worked for them and what worked for the other person. And so I think that's what's beautiful about these lived experience advisory boards or community advisory boards is we have all this experience in all these different ways and like all these different paths, and and some like who are currently walking that path. And so to bring that all together like makes something beautiful and can really have an impact on whatever it is. So yeah. Um, has this impacted your recovery? And recovery, definition of what you feel like recovery is. There is no, I'm not going to be like, oh, it has to be like this. This is, your personal recovery. Do you feel like this has impacted it in any way?
Oh, I'd speak on that. Still being living experience. However, since I've begun doing this work, I have to say that yeah, it used to be that drugs were everything and anything that was in my life, and they took precedent over everything. You know, I had seeking it and getting it, all those things, and it's like it's become the lowest priority I have on my list, if I even prioritize it, to be frankly honest anymore. It's something I very rarely seek, something very rarely to do anymore. Um, I still say living experience because I haven't quite gotten myself to a place where I want to give up the crutch, but I've been discussing it and thinking about it very much more, far more now than I ever have in my life before. And we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, this has definitely impacted it very, very much.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like it's helped me a lot, and with everything that like I've had to go through, like um health wise, it's been very reinforcing. Just like as I was saying like, kind of earlier, just like your self-worth and like your self-value, because you really lose that like while you're doing drugs and stuff like that. Like you feel like you're not really worthy of getting help or like getting better and stuff like that. And or at least like I didn't, because I did so much stuff that was so selfish and just so not helpful to like other people at times. And so like just regaining that self-worth and like self-esteem and all that, it's been great, like being able to like be a part of something that's much bigger than myself. Because I mean like our lives are so short and just so fragile, and that like it's gone in like the blink of an eye. So like being able to be part of like a bigger thing that will like be positively impacting other people, I feel like it's like a very fortunate like, opportunity to be asked to be a part of.
Um, I'll say that I feel like Eric said, I feel like being a part of the community, just knowing that this community is here and thriving, but also being a part of it has really made me feel like I've been able to peel away some of the stigma that started to own as my own identity. Um, and stop questioning my own worth and my own value so much, or my capabilities. It's really given me a platform to decide um which way I wanted to go, and um allowed me to see both sides of the fence again, and to just remember that, like, drug use is just one piece of who I am, and it has definitely um shaped parts of my life, but doesn't have to be my end story. Um, but saying that, I also think that being being as though I take abstinence-based recovery, there's times that I also really have to practice boundaries um with work, with the community that we work with, um, or even just putting myself in environments that, that are feeling risky for me. There's definitely times where I feel like, um, yeah, my boundary practicing my boundaries is very essential, and being very aware of how it's affecting me, and what I'm taking home with me is it affects my recovery, but in good ways as well.
Donica, I'm almost 7 years in and I'm still practicing boundaries. It has. It's definitely impacted my recovery in a really meaningful way. Recovery for me isn't just, I mean, like everyone's shared, it's not just about using substances. It's about building a life that's meaningful, right? Having integrity, building a life that I'm not trying to escape from. And then to me, this being part of this work just reminds me of why I stay in recovery. Helps keep me grounded in where I came from. It also shows me how far I've come, and I don't know, it's also helped transform my past into something useful, right? Instead of my experiences being something that I want to distance myself from, they've become tools to help others. And on a personal level, it's just been incredibly healing.
You. I being a facilitator on an advisory board has impacted my recovery, and doing this panel has impacted my recovery. Being able to give a voice to people who you know haven't always had a voice, or being able to uplift voices, so more people can hear, the important need to have people with lived experience in programs, and helping design programs, and, giving a platform for all you amazing individuals to be able to come here and talk with your open hearts and your real selves, and to have people like realize that people with lived experience like can create some beautiful things. So just being able to do this has impacted my recovery. It reminds me of why I want to keep doing this work, and kind of what the future may hold for people with lived experience, if that makes any sense at all. I kind of just rambled there for a minute. So I am going to ask a question. So the first series was if people are interested in creating a lived or living experience advisory board. The second one was kind of different examples of community advisory boards or lived experience advisory boards. And so my question, and this wasn't in the email that I sent out to prepare you guys, I just kind of thought of this, but if somebody was interested in creating a community advisory board or a lived experience advisory board for their clinical work, what is one or two things that you think are the most important for their community advisory board to build on?
I'd say getting the right people, like depending on what the board is about, like say like if it was about, I would say like specifically like opioid users, I would definitely like make sure to like talk to like OBOT doctors and like different people who have clientele who are either present or past opioid users, just to make sure like you get like um the right, I don't want to say clientele, just like the right people who are going to give you like the right constructive sort of um information that you're trying to get, um which I know sounds like a gimme, but I mean, like I feel like it's probably hard for some people to figure out where to even start to get people for a lived experience board. You know, like do you just go down on Third Avenue and just start asking around, or like do you know, like, so just I feel like getting the right people is probably challenging, but it's also the more, or like one of the most important things, just to get that like actual constructive like conversations and yeah.
That's pretty much what I was gonna say. Like who's sitting at your table and then how, like what's your plan to disseminate the information? Because I think we already work, like we're siloed enough as it is, and I think there are such barriers when we're thinking about like how to, make all of this conversation into a change, and how do we actually make that change happen? And it can be really frustrating, when there's like breakdown in communication happening or breakdown in just, when we're working with like we need to be networking. We need to all collaborate and all not trying to hold information for each other, right? And so just yeah, how like what's your plan to get that information out there?
Sort of speaking on that line as well, the, there has to be, I think that it's very important that there is that open, honest conversation as well as a respect and a value. That you have to show people you have value. One of the things that our team makes sure of is that paying in cash because people's time is worth money. I really think that that is a really significant and important aspect of cabs and leads is that people try to will recognize that time is money and that they don't that if somebody is coming to these things and you're asking them to participate, that they really need to be, you need to treat them as an adult. You need to give them what their time is worth rather than gift cards and such as that, because right there, that step alone, it has a lot to do with people learning to have that value, feeling like their voice is important. But I think also extremely important along with that component is that you have to have a plan for a plan about what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to make that clear, and as well as provide the tools necessary for those people to be able to come into these area spaces, and you have to empower them in those spaces. You've got to help uplift them because most of us are most of us are used to being shut down and not being listened to and not being valued and being discounted. So we've learned to compartmentalize. We've gotten really tiny in ourselves, and so it's very important to um, work on power dynamics and make sure to level those power levels. I had many times in our projects have I felt tokenized at times, and anytime that I felt like that, had come and spoke to the people in my group, and luckily, I mean, in our group, everybody in our group is just completely wonderful, and I mean, it was amazing to me that they all adjusted for that anything that I was saying, and they took it all, and they were very respectful of it. They honored it, and they did what they could do with it, but they were also very clear about what was allowable, what wasn't, too. I think that all those things are very important components. Yeah.
Can you say the question one more time, LeiLani?
Yeah. Um, and I don't have it written down, so it may not be exactly the way I asked it. But so part of this was hopefully to strike interest in other clinical projects to start community advisory boards. So what is one thing or multiple things that you would want somebody to take away if they were like from this, if they wanted to start their own community advisory board that would help uplift their community advisory board's voices more? I think that was
Um,
along the lines.
I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but for me, like one of the huge things that I felt really um helped our groups, all of the boards that we've worked on or work with, um, is like the transparency and um of the respect of everybody having different viewpoints and opinions and coming from different places. And one thing that somebody in our reader team says is that, like even if we have different disagreements and differences, that we should all always assume that we come from a positive intent. And that's just something that I probably, I never heard it that way before, but since I've heard that, I probably think of it every day. And it is so like empowering to be able to use it everywhere in my life. But, like we're all have the same drive, the same goal, and the same mission. And assuming that we all are coming with positive intent really helps us get to solutions and not, breaks. So
That was a perfect answer. So, yeah. And there was no like, I wasn't looking for like anything specific. I just wanted your all's, like, what do you think people should take away from for advisory boards? So that was perfect. All right. I am going to open it up to the people who have joined us to ask questions. You can put them in the chat. You can raise your hands. I think there was one in the chat. Oh, I just want to say all of you are very brave and such amazing individuals for telling your stories. It's nice. There's a lot of us in the chat too. Does anybody have any questions for the advisory board members that they want to ask or anything? Thank you for your incredible work. Any advice for people newly joining an advisory board? Oh, you're muted. I do
Oh,
that all the
yeah,
time.
me too. Yeah, I was saying, the question that Angela put in the chat, I think it was, no, it was Mandy. I'd say be brave, speak bravely, and take risks. Just put yourself out there. Yeah, you'll be surprised how well things go.
I would say what's on your mind. I know for me personally, I have always, we talked about the imposter syndrome, we talked about all those things. And I really just kind of had to remember that like people aren't going to leave the conversation remembering the things that I think that I said were terrible things to say, right? They're going to remember like the things that stuck with them. And ultimately it's take what you want and leave the rest. So say the things that you think is stupid or that you think is, you're not sure if you should say it because it's important and it matters.
I think um I think it's important for people that may have been living off the grid or in their addiction or haven't been working, for them to remember that there's going to be a learning curve, and that's not just with people that are peers, that's with everybody that goes into any job. And I think that when you're a peer in this experience, um, we are very hard on ourselves, and just to give yourself grace and be patient with yourself.
Yeah, that kind of echoing what other people are saying too. Like, don't ever feel like anything that you have to say or bring or share is gonna like not be important or it's not gonna have any value because like all of our experiences have all been different but have all been similar like at the same time. So this definitely, if you ever have to say anything or comment anything, like don't feel like it's not gonna be like heard by anybody.
Thank you all. Mike?
Hey, everybody. Glad to see all the faces on the screen here. My name is Mike Wassmiller. I'm the director of the peer support program at Concord Clinics, and I'm also a proud member of the Washington Peer Network Advisory Board. Um, I've really enjoyed hearing everything that's been shared today. Kind of coming a little sideways. It's important, like all the uh, power and value of sharing our lived experience and everything that's been discussed today. I just wanted to share an exercise that I did with my team over this last year. That was a very powerful team building experience. We have 11 peers on our team from throughout the state. There's a bit of disconnect, but what we did to bring people together and to build actually part of building our own internal natural support system, as well as the trust, and is we weekly we have very meetings. We do check-ins. We talk about what are we doing to support our recovery for self-care, wins from the week, any barriers we have. But we also have one team member actually do like a panel and share their lived story with the rest of the team. And through the weeks, everyone has had the ability to get, and I share this because it was so powerful. Everyone has had the chance to get to know each other on a really in-depth level. For us, what that provided is not just bringing everyone together at such an intimate and uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable state, but through that trust and support is built. And also, what it does is it allows us to more um, to provide a stronger support system for the participants we support. So we may have one person that may be assigned to a participant, but we know that we have 10 other individuals in our team that may have a more applicable lived experience and support system in place for that participant. And so it's just allowed us the opportunity to provide a stronger support system for those that we're supporting in the community. And I've just been sharing that a bit lately because it was just a really powerful tool for team building for all of us. That everyone has a different structure in their agency of what that looks like and peer teams and everything. But I just kind of wanted to share that. And we're all in this together. There's plenty of community in need out there for us to support, and it's so important for us to collaboratively support our fellow agencies and people in the community. And I'm really happy with our Snohomish County area. We have a lot of individuals that are really good about that. We also have a Snohomish County peer-to-peer network. So a lot of peers from all the different agencies. We come and meet once a month as well. That's proven very powerful. Through that, individuals get up and share their story or what agency they're with. And anyways, I'm kind of maybe going sideways a little bit, but just something told me to share that. And I'm grateful for these weekly meetings. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so very much. And yeah, you're more than welcome to share.
I really
Uh,
like the team building aspect of what Mike was just talking about very much. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
was going to answer Angela's question about coming onto a project late or too early. Is that all right?
yeah, you you're ahead of me, Rob. So yeah, go for it.
Super. I just didn't want to miss Angela's question in the chat
Oh
there.
yeah, no, that was my next.
Yeah, I was gonna say to the, speaking on that, um, I don't think that you can come onto a project too late or really too soon. There's just I don't think it's possible to come onto a project too soon. I don't think because if you sort of join it right at the beginning of something that I in the brainstorming of and creation of it, which I've been privileged enough in work with READU to be able to be part of that formation, I think that too soon is not possible. Number one, but number two, projects too late. Again, I just say that once you're on the project and you're working in that project, you might feel like you're behind. Oftentimes you feel, I mean, there are many times that I feel like I am so behind and I need to catch up on everything that's going on, how we got to this place, what we're doing. But it's never too late to join anything. Like with our Clears project, I mean, I started with our Clears project just doing evaluations of that project, and then I moved into being a facilitator in the pro or an advisor on the project and such, and then moved along with the project all now for I have to ask Mandy for sure, but I think it's been 3 years. And I know I joined way late on that project. And Adonica just joined that project with me. And I don't know how she feels, but she probably feels a little behind the curveball a little bit, but she's not. She's doing fabulous. And I think that really there's no such thing as joining a project too late or too soon.
I think that when just to speak to what Rob was saying, like when you join a project, wherever you join, um, your eyes are fresh at that point. And you know, when you work on a project, you start to get into a rhythm. And sometimes people coming in at different points, welcome new perspective.
Yeah, I'll just say that I also agree with everything that's been said. I mean, I don't think there's like a right time or a wrong time to join. I think it's just about joining and best practices are like changing constantly and we're constantly learning new information and you don't know what you don't know, right? And I think it can be equally harmful to have the wrong voices just because you want to fill the seats, than it is impactful, right, to wait for the right people.
Yeah. I would,
Right. Oh,
I'm
go
sorry, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I would say also that I mean, I don't know really the experiences that I've had with Redo and with the projects I'm working on, my I guess I call them my upstream, the people that developed and created our group and team are just so unbelievably good at what they do that I have to I have to wonder. I mean, if all cabs and leaves are as structured and beautifully created by people as ours, because our team, I mean, the support in our team is just beyond belief. It's over the top. It's unbelievable. And I am so blessed in having not only gotten to join the team, but continue to work with the team and yeah, so I wonder if other cabs and leaves are as inspiring and wonderful as ours. But yeah, but and I hope they all are. Yeah, and I bet they all are in some way, manner, shape, or form. But I just wanted to put a shout out to people like Mandy, who's here, I believe, and I don't know if Jenna or anybody else is here, but or Tessa, but our team is so well structured and so supportive, and they think of all the barriers. So they think of and if they don't think of the barrier and they hear one, they develop for it and and they protect us. And I mean, I cannot shout from the mountaintops loud enough about how great they are and how wonderful they are, how much they give value to us, and how careful and gentle they are with us. Yeah, so I hope everyone's is that good.
Love that. Did anybody else want to ask a question?
Well, I guess I will ask a question and all the love right back to you all. I mean, Eric, nice to meet you, but being able to work with everybody is so fantastic. And also, just as a shout out, I can't say how much for clears, especially Rob and Adonica, you've like grounded the work that we've done. Rob, like the hours drives we've done after a hard meeting and us, contemplating the entire project and if it's worth it. And, every time when I turn to you and I'm like, is it worth it? Should we do this? And you're like, yes, then it just like recenters me. And I truly like can't imagine trying to continue that project in particular without like you finding value in it. So, my question was, I'm curious if you all have ideas as like team members, how we can check in with each other in ways that feel respectful and not invasive. Because sometimes I wonder or worry about like conversations and they feel so personal, and I don't want to like encroach on others and be like, ask too private of questions, but I also like want to make sure my team members are okay. And so, how do we strike that balance if you have thoughts?
We use like a group like text chat so that like we're all part of, so that we can like just check in like with each other periodically. And like some people will use it more than others, but I mean, for the most part, like we're all able to be like responding to it like within a reasonable like, amount of time or whatever. But it tends to work pretty well.
I think asking just directly, like, how comfortable are you with, how much are you comfortable sharing? And just with the understanding that that comfort can change. And just leaving it open to, let's say it is during, a meeting, or let's say you're meeting in person, or what have you, just having the understanding that like it's okay to just kind of take a step back if in the moment it gets too heavy or
I will say that I think that if you feel like you want to personally check on somebody, I know in our team and our relationships, um, I think that even though things may feel personal and close to the heart or sensitive, I think that the things that we work on are close to the heart and sensitive, and we all are kind of vulnerable and open ourselves up to each other. And one of the things that I feel like helps us grow as a team and builds community with each other is being vulnerable with each other, and like just putting myself out there and asking like, hey, is everything at home okay? And knowing that somebody may say, I don't want to talk about that, or if they don't want to talk about it, knowing that you've opened a door to where when they do, or if they do, now they know that there's an avenue that they can come to when they're ready. I think is like invaluable.
Mandy, all I can say is you strike that balance very well, at least with me. I've always found you know when I yeah, you know how when to ask and what to ask very well. It's but pretty much what I say about that is, yeah, I think that it's very important to invite that. I also think it's very important to be aware that somebody may not take you up on that question, and or you might just open floodgates at the same time, just to be aware of both those things. Yeah.
All right. I realize I should have made this a 2 hour long panel just so we could all sit here and talk and give advice and yeah. We are a little over time. So I just want to thank each and every one of you from the very bottom of my heart for coming on here and again being vulnerable and sharing parts of you and your experience and your expertise. And it has meant so much to me. And from the comments, a lot of people, it has meant a lot to them too, and they've got a lot out of it, which is amazing. Um, Please just know my email is always open if any of you ever want to reach out, talk, or anything, please reach out. I love to email back and forth and whatever. So, thank you again. Is there any last words that anybody would like to say before we end this?
Thank you, LeiLani, for hosting this very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Everybody have an amazing Friday. Go enjoy that sun.